besties, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, welcome. My name is Grace, lovely to meet you. So for today's video, we're going to be talking about my physical TBR. I just did a head count of everything and it's around 20 to 25 books. So not the biggest TBR ever, but still a lot of books that I have not read yet. I think the way that I'm going to categorize this video is that we're going to start at my immediate TBR and then we're just going to work our way down to everything. So let's get started. So to start us off, I'm going to talk about some books I want to read before the month ends. And the first book that I have is In a Jam by Kate Canterbury. This is about a marriage of convenience, small town. I think the two main characters are called Shay and Noah. So Shay is a jilted bride. Her fiance left her at the altar and she gets a call one day and says, hey, your grandma, your step-grandmother, I guess, left her farm to you and the only way that you can inherit it is if you get married within the next year. So she goes back to her small town and she runs into a close high school friend, Noah, and he kind of isn't that happy to see her, but they end up kind of becoming friends again, and he offers to marry her in exchange for a portion of the land that she's going to inherit. So it is friends to lovers, small town, marriage of convenience, and then single dad because Noah is the sole guardian of his niece. So yeah, very excited. This is very popular on BookTok. I feel like I see this book everywhere I go, so I'm very excited to start it. The next book we have is Savage Lover by Sophie Lark. This is the third book in the Brutal Birthright series. I started the series in December, January-ish, and I've been wanting to pick it up again just because Sophie Lark is just one of those authors where her books are so addicting. I literally can't put them down, and they're always pretty short. Like, they're not huge books, which I think is such a good palate cleanser, especially if you're in the middle of a slump. But basically, the Brutal Birthright series is an interconnected standalone series, and it's a mafia romance, so it's also a dark romance, so make sure to look up trigger warnings. But each book focuses on a different couple, so I don't really know anything about the specifics of this book. I just know that I love Sophie Lark, I love the Brutal Birthright universe, so I'm excited to pick this book up. The third book I have on my immediate TBR is Mile High. This is the first book of the Windy City series, I want to say, and it's by Liz Tomford. Again, this book is so popular on Bookstagram. I feel like I see it everywhere. It's a hockey romance. I don't know if this series is a hockey series, but I know that they're all sports romances, I want to say. But it's about a hockey player. He's kind of a playboy, and then the main girl is a flight attendant for the guy's hockey team. So I think it's called like a charter plane where it just takes the team to their games. But she just does not like him, not gonna put up with his charms, things like that. Very excited. I love a good hockey romance. Looking forward to this book. So now we're gonna get into not my immediate TBR, but still pretty high priority. These are books that I know I'm gonna gravitate towards in the near future. I just don't know when. There's really no timeline, there's no rush. So yeah. The first book that we have is Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is a very, very popular series on BookTube, Bookstagram, BookTok, whatever, you name it. But it's just very overwhelming because there's a lot of books in the main series and then there are also sister series that you have to get through. So it's a little daunting at times. I know I want to read it and get into the universe to see what the hype is about. I just don't know when, because I know the minute I pick up this first book, I'm gonna want to read everything, and that's just a big commitment. That's a lot to take in. But basically, this book is about two friends, and they both struggle with addictions. The main girl is addicted to sex, and the guy is an alcoholic. and they kind of pretend to date to hide their addictions from their friends and families. So it's fake dating, friends to lovers, found family. I think those are like the main three tropes. So I'm definitely like intrigued and interested in the premise of the book. I just don't know when I'm gonna pick it up. So the next book is Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. I read my first ever Sally Rooney book in April. It was Normal People, and that was a 5-star for me. And I've always been very hesitant to read Sally Rooney just because she doesn't put quotation marks on her dialogue. So people either love her or hate her, but I found to be one of the people that love her. So I'm really excited to jump into another book by her. I just don't know when, because her books are kind of emotionally draining. They're kind of sad. They're not fun books to read, but I love them. So I don't know what that says about me, but I like to suffer apparently. But this book is about 2 different couples, so it's about 4 people in total. And that's all I know about it. That's all I know. So on to the next book. It's Bloody Heart by Sophie Lark. This is the 4th book in the Brutal Birthright series. Again, it's an interconnected standalone series. It's mafia, dark romance. I'm just really excited. I'm like saving this book for a rainy day after I finish the 3rd one. I'm just kind of waiting because I feel like I have to space out Sophie Lark books because, again, they are just good palate cleansers. They're good to get you out of a slump, okay? So I'm saving her. I know I'm going to pick her up soon. I just don't know when. So the next 2 books are part of a series. We have Twisted Hate and Twisted Lies by Anna Wong. Twisted Hate is the 3rd book in the Twisted series, and it's about Josh and Jules. Josh is Ava's brother, and then Jules is Ava's best friend. Josh and Jules hate each other, hence the name. So it's very much giving enemies to lovers. I think it's a slow burn because she is hefty. The 2nd book was also very hefty, but yeah. Even though I love enemies to lovers, I just find myself not wanting to pick up this book, but I know I'm gonna pick it up soon. I just don't know when, because I have to be in the mood to read this, but I don't know. I've heard that it's very good. People say that it's their favorite, especially if you love enemies to lovers. So she will be picked up soon, especially because I want to get to Twisted Lies. This is the 4th and final book of the Twisted series. It's about Christian and, what is her name? Stella. Stella is like an influencer and she's experiencing like a stalker situation. And then Christian either owns the building that Stella is staying at or is her neighbor or something, but he offers to basically fake date her to help her get rid of her stalker because he owns a security company or something because he's rich. He's hella rich. And I think I'm gonna really like this book because, again, I like fake dating. These are both books with tropes I love. I just don't know why I haven't picked them up yet. I think it's because they're so big. It's just a big commitment. I loved Twisted Games. That was a very high-ranked book for me. It was originally 5 stars, but I think I ended up changing my rating. I don't know why. I think I was just like feeling goofy and quirky that day, but yeah. I really want to read these, especially because I already read King of Wrath, which is like also part of the Twisted universe. I know we get snippets of Dante and Vivian in Twisted Lies because we get snippets of Christian and Stella in King of Wrath. So I've already jumped the gun and read basically the 2nd series. And I haven't read King of Pride yet. I haven't even gotten that book. So I think I'm just gonna make myself read these books before I'm allowed to get King of Pride because I cannot be adding to my physical TBR right now. So the next book is a very hyped up book. You either love it, hate it. I feel like I see it everywhere now. It's Binding 13. It is the 1st book of the Boys of Tommen series, and I'm pretty sure it's a rugby romance. It takes place in Ireland, I want to say. Ireland, Dublin, I don't know, somewhere in Europe. And I know they have all wonky names and there's a lot of slang that I don't understand, but she's hefty. All the books in this series are hefty. I want to read this book so badly. I'll probably read it before the summer ends just because I won't be able to read a book this size during the school year. So, yeah. I don't know anything about this book except that it's kind of friends to lovers, sports romance, found family. Found family is a big one. Destiny Sidwell, love her, one of my favorite booktubers. She is like the poster child of this series, but Sarah Caroli did not like this series, so we shall see where I fall on the spectrum. I follow Destiny and Sarah's book recommendations like a religion at this point, so that's why I only bought the first book, because I didn't want to buy the second book and not like it. So we'll see. We'll see about this one. I'll probably film when I read this. I don't know if I'm going to do a dedicated reading vlog, but I will be documenting my reading experience. So the next two books are part of a series. It's Things I Wanted to Say and Promises We Meant to Keep by Monica Murphy. These are both part of the Lancaster Prep series. I've already read one of the books. I read them out of order because I didn't know it was a series until I read this book, but I read A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime. I think that's like the second book in the series. Things I Wanted to Say is technically the first, but you can read them. You can read them out of order because they're just interconnected. They're just in the same universe. You don't have to read them in order. But I would say A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime is the most popular one out of that series for well reason, because I freaking loved that book. It got me out of a slump. I read it in one day, and she's a hefty girl. She's a hefty book, and I read her in one day. But Things I Wanted to Say, it's technically the first book, yes. And I'm pretty sure it's a bully romance. And a lot of people said it's has darker themes and to check the trigger warning. So I think that's why I've been a little bit hesitant to read this book, especially because it's thick. But it's the summer, so I'm gonna be diving into these thick books head first. But I don't know, I really like prep school romances. I think they're a lot of fun. They have like some sort of vibe that is just so mwah, chef's kiss. But both of these books just got revamped with new covers, and now I only have the old covers, so yikes. We love pink books though. And then Promises We Meant to Keep, I don't know really anything about it except that it's in the Lancaster Prep series, boarding school romance. They're all boarding school romances. Love Monica Murphy. We'll be getting to these books soon. So that was the end of like my higher priority TBR. Now we're getting to books that either have been on my TBR for a while or books that I know I will probably read, but she's not my main focus right now. Like, we know I'm gonna get to her. So first up we have is To Sir Philip with Love. This is, I want to say, the fifth book in the Bridgerton series, and fun fact, if you did not know, the Bridgerton series is the whole reason why I got into reading again last year. So yeah, I was on a roll. I binge read the first 4 books of this series in like less than a month, but then I got to Eloise's story and I kept hearing mixed reviews, and that kind of discouraged me from continuing, especially because I'm not the biggest fan of Eloise's storyline right now, at least in the books. In the TV show, I think I like her more, but yeah. So the next book we have is Before We Were Yours. This was sent to me by my aunt. She found out that I like to read and sent me this. I think it's about foster children or children that were adopted. I don't know. It sounded interesting when she talked about it, but since I'm mainly a romance reader, I just haven't gravitated towards this book. But I know I want to read it soon because I want to talk to her about it, but yeah. So my camera just died, so sorry if I look different, but it's charging right now. I had to change my little setup. But the next book we have is 10 Past 2. This was sent to me by the author because we're mutuals on Instagram. We talk to each other a lot. But it's about 2 disabled people. The main girl, she is in a wheelchair, so she got into a race car accident that left her disabled, and then the guy is blind. So we love the representation of having two disabled main characters in a romance book. This is also YA. It's fairly short as well, so I'm kind of like waiting for a time where I need, again, like a refresher, some sort of book to cleanse my palate. I definitely want to read it because I think it's so important to read books that have different types of representation. So the next book we have on my TBR is Finn Roads Forever. This is part of an interconnected standalone series by Stephanie Archer. It's a rom-com. This was actually sent to me by Stephanie, so thank you. It's small town romance, so we love that. And I think the main character kind of looks like my boyfriend. She does not look like me, but he looks like my boyfriend. Again, I'm very excited to read this book because I do love small town romances. I'm just kind of debating on whether or not I should buy the books before this one because I can read interconnected standalone series out of order, but sometimes I feel like it's helpful to have that basic understanding of what's going on before you jump into one of the later books. But yeah, very excited. We love a small town romance. We love a good rom-com. Very excited. Thank you, Stephanie. So the next three books are all by the same author, and this was also sent to me, so thank you, Charity Farrell. But I have Only Rivals, Just Neighbors, and Gorgeous Monster. I really, really want to read these books, but I'm just waiting for the perfect moment. I'm waiting for when I need kind of like a palate cleanser, so like an easy, quick read, something that I can get done within a day, because they're all really short, which we love, because sometimes you don't need a 500, 600 page romance book. Sometimes 200, 300 book pages is just enough, okay? Size does not matter. But Only Rivals is a enemies to lovers. It's book 1 of the Only You series, so we love that. Just Neighbors is book 4 of the Blue Beach series, but you don't have to read them in order because I think they're all in the same universe, but they all focus on different couples, so it's fine. And then Gorgeous Monster is a mafia romance, and I'm pretty sure it's like Marriage of Convenience as well. Again, such good tropes. Just waiting for the perfect moment. And then the next book we have is My Fault. This is an enemies to lovers romance. It's actually an arc that was sent to me, so thank you, Source Books, for sending me this. I'm very excited. I love enemies to lovers. This is actually being made into a movie, and it comes out in June 2023, so it's coming out next month, so be on the lookout. So the next few books are all by the same author, so bear with me. But we have The Tragedy of Felix and Jake by J. Daniels. She actually sent me this. It's her newest release, and it's an MLM romance. I think it's amazing that we have such great representation of queer relationships. I haven't ever personally read an MLM book, but that's the first time for everything. So the last chunk of books are also by J. Daniels, and it's her Alabama Summer series. She sent me these books along with The Tragedy of Felix and Jake. I honestly didn't know that she was going to send me the entire series, but I'm very thankful for it. I think these are going to be perfect to read in the summertime. I'm just waiting for the perfect moment. Again, I think reading books that have been sent to me as palate cleansers or something just to experience that you haven't really heard of yet is such a fun thing to do. So that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give it a big thumbs up if you enjoyed. Comment down below if any of these books are also on your physical TBR. I also have a lot of fun videos planned, so make sure to subscribe if you want to stay up to date on everything. I also have a bookstagram, and it's called currently.overbooked. I post daily. I post reels, book updates, reviews, everything. So make sure to go follow me on there to kind of stay up to date on when I post or what I'm reading. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Goodbye.